Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Children's Sunday School. I'm so glad that you are joining me this morning. Today, we are going to talk about walking gently on the earth. And as we do every week, we are going to get up the mountain to hear Jesus' sermon and his blessing and promise a different way. Today, we're going to kind of work our way up the mountain by doing things to take care of God's earth. So the first thing I want you to do is go to your delivery bag and pull out the one with a number 1 on it. It's a clear bag and it has a number 1, and find this piece of paper that has a picture of a mountain on it. And there should be 1, 2, 3 lines on that mountain. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about ways that you can help take care of God's earth. You may decide to feed the birds. That's taking care of God's precious world. Especially when it snows outside, it's really hard for the birds to find their food. So if you put food out for the birds, that's one. You could write or draw a picture of you doing that. On the second line, you might help your parents put the recycling out. You might help collect things in your neighborhood to put in a recycling bin. Number 3, you may remember to take a reusable bag to the grocery store and ask the bagger to put the groceries in that bag rather than use one of the plastic ones that they have. So those are 3 good ways to help and do your part to take care of God's beautiful earth. So as you do that this week, I want you to color each time you do one of those things. And you can continue to add lines of ways that you've taken care of the earth. But each time you do one of these things, I want you to color that part of the mountain. So if I feed the birds tomorrow, I'm going to color this whole top of the mountain. Okay? So the goal is by this time next week, you'll have your whole mountain colored. Do you think you can do that? That would be great. And that's the way we're going to get up the mountain this week. Let's review the Beatitudes that we've talked about. Week number 1, does anybody remember? It was, blessed are the poor in spirit. Do you remember that part? Jesus said that those who are feeling hurt inside, who are struggling, they're going to be blessed if they follow God. Then the next week, Jesus talked about those who mourn will be comforted. I'm hoping, and I've seen some of the pictures of you sharing God's comfort with others. That was Beatitude number 2. Now this week's Beatitude, this is what Jesus said. Blessed are the meek, or blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Well, what in the world does all that mean? Well, let's talk about it. The word meek can mean kind, gentle, humble. And remember how we talked about in Jesus' time when he was giving this sermon, there were those who had a lot of money and power. They also had a lot of land, which made it possible for them to provide for their families. Well, on the other hand, there were these people, especially those who were following and listening to Jesus. They didn't have power, much money, if any, and they certainly didn't own land. So Jesus was telling them something again that was completely opposite of what they'd always heard or believed, because it looked like the people who had all that land and money and power were getting everything. But Jesus said that those who were meek, which meant kind, humble, and gentle, those were the ones who were going to inherit the entire earth. So think about that for a minute. Jesus was making a powerful statement about caring for the world and caring for each other. Think about how you care for the world and each other. Those who are meek or humble are often the people who live life paying attention to others' needs, whether it's the planet or other animals or other people. These are the people who remember that all earth and all the land belongs to God, and they take care of it that way. This means using what they have with respect and love. When we are gentle with each other and the world around us, we demonstrate that we're strong caretakers, as God wants us to be. I want you to repeat something after me. Can you do that? I am God's child. I am God's child. And everyone else is God's child too. And everyone else is God's child too. That is the attitude of being meek and humble that Jesus was talking about. This is what it looks like when you don't see your needs as any more important than others' needs. You realize that everyone and everything on this earth is a gift from God, and it's worthy of love and care. For our activity this week, you can have your bag, your clear bag, and you will see a bookmark and some contact paper. We're going to use those for the activity, the second part of our activity. But for the first part of our activity, I want you to go outside and do a nature walk. Take a bag or a bowl and collect beautiful things in God's world. Look at the intricate design of the veins on the leaves and collect all of those items and pick your very favorite. And then I want you to come in and open up a book and press those items in the book. Hopefully they're flat enough for you to be able to close the book, and leave them there for a couple of days. When you come back, they will be dried and beautiful and very fragile. But then I want you to use those items. We're going to reuse those items in our craft activity. So when you've done that, when you've gone on your nature walk and collected your artifacts, then come back, put them in a book, and then wait for a few days, and then click the next link for our activity. Also, Miss Janet has put a video in on the next Beatitude beat.